reading Roar the Ganges, and then we'll do a mantra. You are wondering, Gregor, where is our mantra from today? Just you wait, it is coming. Can we do the Kali mantra? We can do another Kali mantra soon. Today and tomorrow I've already planned with Sky Guardian the mantras we'll be doing. But we can certainly do another Kali mantra soon. This book takes place from a Westerner's eyes as he traverses the spiritual territory of India in a city called Rishikesh, at an ashram where he is studying under the guidance of his guru, Swami Tadatmananda. This chapter is called The Play of Consciousness. Saturday, March 18th. Sitting together in the dining hall after class, my friend Vijay invited me to join him for a walk after breakfast. We quickly ate our upma, a concoction of spicy cream of wheat laced with huge peppercorns that shocked my taste buds every time I bit down on the black bombshells. After we finished our tea and washed our plates, we set out along the river towards the Kailash ashram and the Ram Jhula bridge that crosses the Ganges beyond. We walked briskly, stimulated by the fresh air. It does sound yummy, I agree. That is one thing I am terrified for when I go to India. I don't think my body is going to be ready for the spice. I'll have to acclimate, start practicing eating spicy food before I leave. My friend Vijay slowed his pace a bit and said with his usual heavy accent, "Yesterday you were spending so much of time with Richard that we could not be meeting at all." I nodded, hoping my recent inattention had not slighted him. We walked along the river, talking about my upcoming initiation as a Swami, a Hindu monk, about Vijay's ongoing studies, and about the recent events at the ashram here. Then, Vijay asked me about my life in the Pennsylvania ashram. The last time we met, I was a student there, but now I had been its manager for the past 2 years. Amanda, you share. Amanda, hail. My goodness, we've got 4 Amandas now. Kimchi is super spicy, and that will acclimate you pretty fast, even though it's Korean. There is a place near me that sells some good kimchi. I'll have to try it for you. That must be very much work for you, managing the ashram, Vijay said. Yes, I replied. It has been far more demanding than I thought it would be. There is so much work, program planning, fundraising, publicity, daily operations, all of which requires a lot of time and effort. What is the most difficult work to you? Asked Vijay. The hardest part has been dealing with so many different people, staff members, volunteers, students, board members, visitors, and especially myself. I smiled, amused by my own observation. Got a lot of kimchi lovers in chat, so it seems. That's awesome. I explained. I suppose every manager encounters a few persons who are difficult to handle. People sometimes come to my office angry or upset about something. When anything goes wrong at the ashram, the manager gets the blame. But then it really is the manager's responsibility to address every problem. Yet, once in a while, someone bursts into my office feeling so irate that it's impossible to even discuss the problem. There have even been times when others have shouted at me in anger. I'm sure many of us who have ever done customer service can relate. Is it true? Vijay's eyes opened wide. That is very bad. I suppose their shouting serves a purpose, I mused. Perhaps it allows them to vent their frustration and let go of their anger. Then they can settle down enough so we can address the problem calmly. You are letting them shout at you like that? Why not? Besides, when they are so angry, what choice do I have? Vijay shook his head in disapproval. Also, I continued, in a way, they gave me the opportunity to learn how to apply these Vedantic teachings to difficult situations in daily life. If I had not learned that lesson, I don't think I could have coped with my role as manager. We discussed how my identification with the role of manager was a source of struggle and suffering for me. Throughout my life, I had constantly been identified with one role or another: student, engineer, consultant. Later on, being a spiritual seeker developed yet into another role. I took each of these roles very seriously. They were the vehicles through which I tried to achieve my goals. We play so many roles in life. A woman might be a medical doctor, wife, mother, daughter, cook, and housekeeper, yet she is the same person who plays each of the roles. But we often forget that they are just roles. We usually become deeply identified with them and lose sight of the difference between ourselves and our roles. This confusion can wreak havoc on our lives. My guru, Swami Tadatmananda, often explained this with a story about an actor who plays the role of a beggar in a drama. The script calls for a beggar to stand on a street corner soliciting alms, food, and then be rudely pushed aside by a passerby. The beggar is to fall on the ground and lay there weeping. Suppose the actor has become so identified with their role that after being knocked down, he leaps to his feet enraged and attacks the other actor. If this happened in the middle of a performance, it would be a disaster. Now that's method acting, right? For the actor to portray his role properly, he must know it is merely a role. Then he can enjoy it even as he lays on the ground crying, knowing that the audience adores his performance and that he will be well paid for his skillful portrayal. He can enjoy his role because he understands that the beggar is him, but he is not a beggar. This is proper understanding. Or, as my Guru Swami Tadatmananda expressed it, B, beggar, is A, actor, but A is not B. With this formula, he taught us that roles depend on the person, but people are independent of their roles. I had to learn that being manager was just a role. At first, when I was still identified with my role, if someone stormed into my office shouting at me, I felt threatened. Sometimes I got angry and shouted back, fighting fire with fire. But that only made the situation worse. Tempers flared, accusations were hurled back and forth, but the person's problem remained unresolved. At other times, instead of getting angry, I found myself feeling hurt. I felt that my efforts to make the ashram run smoothly went appreciated, and that no one understood the difficulties I faced each day. I was just a volunteer and didn't receive a salary for my long hours. I was simply trying to help provide an opportunity for others to benefit, as I did as a student. Sometimes I felt so hurt and misunderstood that I considered leaving the ashram to escape the burden of being a manager. I never left, but the ache in my heart made this work a constant struggle. Every time I got angry or hurt, my attention would be ripped away from trying to address the other person's problems, and instead I would be plunged into my own emotional morass. Morass? It's a good word, one I haven't heard before. When I was overcome by emotion, instead of acting according to my best judgment, I could only react, sometimes responding inappropriately. In the end, the person's problem would remain unaddressed, and I would have the additional burden of needing to address my own anger or hurt. I eventually learned how to apply what Swami Dayananda had taught us about roles. When someone was angry with me, I reminded myself that being manager is just a role, one of many roles I play. I began to see how the person's anger was directed at the manager, at the character sitting behind the manager's desk. I could understand that such anger was not directed at me personally. With this shift of perspective, I no longer felt threatened or attacked, nor did I find myself getting angry or hurt as a result. Instead, I could listen with compassion. I could remain emotionally accessible and caring, even when being shouted at. Freed from my own reactions, I could do my best to work with the person to address their problem. And we shall end our reading there for tonight, but we shall hopefully continue this reading tomorrow. A wonderful book by Swami Tadatmanandaji. Thank you everyone for listening with me.